Hi, my name is Stephanie. Welcome to my channel. I'm a language enthusiast and a polyglot that currently speaks 8 languages. And I really love learning languages and talking about languages, which is why I decided to create this YouTube channel. I hope to help those of you who may be beginners in language learning or seasoned multilinguals already. I believe that anybody can benefit from a few tips and tricks. So if you're interested to follow along on my language journey and to hear more about how I learned every language that I know, keep watching the video, but please turn on the subtitles first. Първият език, на който бих искала да говоря, е българският. Той е моят майчин език. Всъщност израснах в едноезичен дом. Това го казвам, тъй като мисля, че има един вид предразсъдъци за Източна Европа, как едва ли не на Балканите всички сме полиглоти, израстваме с много езици. Бих казала, че не е така. Поколението на родителите ми говори само един език. Моето поколение на моята възраст в повечето случаи говорят родния си език и английски. Някои перфектно, други не чак толкова, но общо взето е това. Защо го казвам? Казвам го, защото в много случаи, особено в чужбина, има предразсъдъци към Европа, че едва ли не израстваме с много езици и че това може би е единственият начин някой да бъде полиглот. Не е така. Аз определено израснах само със своя роден език и не започнах да уча чужди езици, докато не станах на 6, когато започнахме в училище малко по малко с английския, но това беше наистина основи и нищо впечатляващо. So to continue in English, my story with English, as I mentioned, started when I was 6, but it's been continuing all throughout my life. So at school, it didn't really get very serious until I was, I would say, maybe in high school, because that's when, you get a lot of classes, especially in the high school that I was in, which focuses a lot on languages. So I did study it a lot in school, but I would attribute my success mainly to the studies that I was doing at home by myself. I was really interested in English and I was just getting a lot of input. And my method of learning is very input-based. You're going to find out as I speak about all the different languages that is how I learn, and that is what I believe is the best way to learn. And yeah, with English, I started at school, as I mentioned. Then I also did my higher education in English. That is both my bachelor's and master's degrees are from American universities. I lived in the US for a total of 3 years. Even today, now that I work in Bulgaria, I mostly use English for work. So it's the language that I use the most, even more than my native language. It's the language that I think in. And it goes to show that, sometimes another language that was once foreign to you can even be used more than your native one day. Ich habe in der Schule auch Deutsch gelernt, aber ich hatte viel weniger Unterricht als Englisch. Außerdem habe ich anders als bei Englisch außerhalb der Schule kein Selbststudium gemacht und deshalb spreche ich es nicht sehr gut. Ich habe mich immer von anderer Sprache ablenken lassen und so ist mein Deutsch immer noch mittelmäßig und nicht auf dem Niveau der anderen Sprachen, die ich spreche. Ich weiß, dass ich eines Tages fließend Deutsch sprechen werde, aber jetzt mein Interesse an der deutschen Sprache ist unbeständig und vielleicht werde ich eines Tages eine größere Leidenschaft für die deutsche Sprache entwickeln, die mir helfen wird, fließend Deutsch zu sprechen. Aber jetzt nicht. 7 Jahre in der Schule sind nicht genug. Der Schule ist nie genug. Wenn ich hingegen im Selbststudium lerne, kann ich sehr schnell fließend sprechen. Aber eines Tages. Entonces, esos son los 2 idiomas que aprendí en la escuela, inglés y alemán. Pero la verdad es que yo tenía tantas ganas de aprender el español. Es mi primer amor lingüístico y yo tenía tantas ganas de hablarlo porque me encanta España y su música y cultura y gente y todo eso, ¿vale? Y por eso quería aprenderlo, pero no se impartían clases de español en mi escuela, así que empecé completamente por mi cuenta con un libro y luego, ¿vale? También con podcasts y películas y todo eso. Y ahora lo hablo con fluidez y también trabajé en España por un año, ¿vale? Practicando la lengua, mejorando y todo eso, pero la verdad es que gracias a español yo aprendí y yo me di cuenta de que sí es posible aprender sola, es posible y no necesito profesores o clases o educación formal y puedo hacerlo todo sola. Y gracias al español, hoy en día soy poliglota y puedo hacer este video de YouTube y, ¿vale? Para mí es muy importante. Esta lengua siempre tendrá un lugar muy, muy especial en mi corazón, la verdad es que sí. Quando ouvi falar português pela primeira vez, eu não entendi nada, embora já falasse espanhol. Quando eu trabalhei na Espanha, havia muitos portugueses no escritório e quando eles falavam, eu achava que uma língua muito difícil, porque a pronúncia é tão diferente que a pronúncia do espanhol ou do italiano ou outras línguas romanas. Em particular, a pronúncia do português europeu é muito fechada. E eu achava que a pronúncia do italiano é muito mais fácil, eu posso aprender a língua italiana mais rapidamente. Mas depois comecei a ver Suits dublado em português no Netflix e também lições de YouTube e peguei este idioma desta maneira. Eu acho que este idioma é a minha linguagem milagrosa, qualquer coisa assim, porque eu não estou segura como aprendi esta língua. Não sei se tenho sotaque mais brasileiro ou português. Digam-me nos comentários o que você pensa. Em geral, eu nunca me preocupo com sotaques. Eu acho que não é importante, mudam cada 20 quilômetros e por isso eu não me importo nunca. Parlo anche italiano, ho iniziato anni fa, poi sono stata distratta da altre lingue, come sempre, ma recentemente ho ripreso e sono riuscita ad imparare a parlare bene. Non è così difficile perché parlo già spagnolo e portoghese, quindi quando ho iniziato con l'italiano, prima ancora di iniziare con il portoghese, parlavo già spagnolo e per questo il collegamento è stato facile. E poi l'ho ripreso dopo aver imparato il portoghese e devo dire che imparare lingue della stessa famiglia mi aiuta molto di più che confondermi. Per me è molto più facile così. E come l'ho imparato? Ho iniziato con un libro di autoapprendimento e poi sono passata ai programmi televisivi italiani e video di Easy Languages. Katie e Matteo, grazie per tutto quello che fate, è davvero meraviglioso. Vi consiglierei di dare un'occhiata al canale di Easy Italian et Easy Languages. J'apprends actuellement le français. Ce n'est pas très difficile parce que je parle déjà de langue romane, mais il faut quand même beaucoup l'améliorer. La prononciation du français est plus difficile pour moi que celle des autres langues romanes que je parle. Comme je l'ai dit, généralement, je ne m'associe pas d'avoir un air étranger ou d'avoir un accent. Mais je dois dire que ce n'est pas aussi facile comme l'italien ou le portugais. J'ai commencé par un livre d'auto-apprentissage et maintenant je me concentre sur le visionnage de vidéos YouTube et de lecture pour obtenir plus de pratique. En général, je suis une fan de théorie du input compréhensible de Stephen Krashen. Si vous remarquez un thème ici, je suis un fan de cette méthode d'apprentissage, d'acquérir les bases et ensuite se concentrer sur le lecteur et le matériau du monde réel. Και μαθαίνω ελληνικά. Τα ελληνικά είναι η δεύτερη μεγάλη μου γλωσσική αγάπη μετά τα ισπανικά. Λατρεύω το πολιτισμό, την ιστορία, το φαγητό, τη μουσική, τους άνθρωπους, όλα αυτά. Είμαι απλά ερωτευμένη με την Ελλάδα και μου αρέσει να λέω ότι η ψυχή μου είναι ελληνική, βέβαια. Είναι η πιο δύσκολη γλώσσα που έχω μάθει και έχω ακόμα πολλά να μάθω, αλλά την αγαπώ. Την αγαπώ πάρα πολύ. Για τα ελληνικά άρχισα επίσης με ένα μάθημα αυτοδιδασκαλίας και τώρα προσπαθώ να βυθιστώ. Πρόσφατα ταξίδευσα στην Ελλάδα και πήρα διάφορα βιβλία, αλλά αυτή η γλώσσα είναι τόσο διαφορετική από οποιαδήποτε άλλη που έχω μάθει. Ευχηθείτε μου καλή τύχη. Δεν είναι εύκολο, είναι σίγουρα μια πρόκληση, αλλά το πάθος μου για την ελληνική γλώσσα θα με βοηθήσει, είμαι σίγουρη. Thank you for watching this far. To conclude, I'd like to say that although I do speak these 8, as you can see, I don't speak them all at the same level, right? Like some I'm much better at than at others. But I don't really think that matters because it's a journey, and so I know that one day I'm gonna get them up to the level that I want to get them, because learning so many, it kind of gives you this confidence. And that's a big tip that I'd love to relate to the people out there, that it's really, your mindset matters so much in language learning. And for me, it's a joy, it's a journey. And I'm hoping to get them on fluent one day, and I know that I will. And currently I'm studying 2 others because I love studying several at the same time. Those are Russian and Swedish. They're not in the video because I don't really feel like I can speak them all enough yet. So, you know, how many I speak and how many I'm learning are 2 different things. But yeah, I love it. It's my passion, and I hope that showed through in that video, and I hope that you learned a thing or two. Now, on this channel, I will be detailing this process that I kind of touched upon, you know, my input-based learning. I'll be detailing it quite a lot, and I will walk you through all of the steps that I'm taking, that you know, that I usually go through when I study a new language. For me, it's important to share what I have discovered over these like 20 plus years of language learning. I feel like I started quite late, because even though I started when I was 6, you know, that was when I started at school. I really started to kind of figure out my own methods and everything when I was 16. And I would say that the majority of the languages that I speak today were learned in the past couple of years. So it's a process that can be quick and efficient if you want it to be, but most importantly, it can be fun. And yeah, and I would love to relay that to everybody that is watching this video and this channel. Stay tuned for more. Of course, I'm going to be detailing that process, but if in the meantime you have some specific questions, feel free to let me know, because I'm going to keep this as flexible as possible, and I will be making videos answering any questions that anybody might have, because I feel like, especially in language learning, which is something that we get so wrong at schools, we need to be helping each other out as much as possible in order to make sure that it is as efficient and as fun as possible. It is my belief that everybody can learn a language. So if you have not had much success with this so far, do not get discouraged. Or if you're already a polyglot and would like to learn a little bit more about how somebody else does it, because I love learning from other polyglots as well, then you're welcome as well. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel so that I know that you have appreciated it and would like to see more from me. And of course, feel free to share it with others that might be interested in language learning. Comment below with your questions, because as I mentioned, I will be answering any questions that you might have. Thank you once again for watching. I hope to see you very soon, when I will be detailing my methods and how it is exactly that I learn languages. So bye, and see you soon.